What is going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Welcome in to GC Live Sunday Reset with your host, the one, the only, Jack Veltri. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. With the Christmas season and all, it's been very busy at Gamecock Central and just in my personal life in general. But we're here. We are ready to talk about the Citrus Bowl coming up on Tuesday when South Carolina plays Illinois in Orlando, Florida. And I've been here in Orlando since, I want to say Thursday. I'm losing track of my days, honestly. Luke Doty has said it this entire week. Like, he doesn't even know what day it is. I think everyone here feels the exact same way. Like, it has been just, every day just kind of meshes together. It's Sunday now, but honestly, to me, it feels like Saturday or Thursday or Friday. It doesn't feel like Sunday out here. But regardless, it is Sunday Reset, and I'm glad to be back doing this. We're going to be talking a little bit about, for a little bit about the Citrus Bowl, what's to come with this game on Tuesday, what to maybe expect. I'll talk a little bit about my thoughts from what's been going on out here in Orlando with the last 3 days of on-site bowl practice. Got some thoughts to share from that for sure that I've shared on GamecockCentral.com, on the Insiders Forum and all that, but I'll dive into a little bit of what I wrote about this week in case you haven't been able to give it a read yet or anything like that. But yeah, so lots to talk about. But first, before we get rolling, got to talk to you guys about our main sponsor right above me here, Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans. If you are in the market for a home or you need help with your mortgage, but you don't know where to start, you don't know where to begin, got good news for you. Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans can take you through the process step by step, and he'll put you on the right track and help you out. He's been in the mortgage industry for more than 20 years. He's a lifelong Gamecock fan, and he's also been a longtime supporter of GamecockCentral.com and all of our GC Live programs that you see every single week here on our YouTube page. So Clint is the perfect guy to go to if you're interested. 803-422-6797. The NMLS number for him is 71597. You can also go to ClintHammond.com. So appreciate Clint as always. Hope you guys are all doing well. EXO's checking in. Hey, Jack. Hope you're doing well as well. EXO. Got a few questions right off the rip here. Brian Richardson says, who gets the most carries on Tuesday in the Citrus Bowl? Yeah, so Rocket Sanders is obviously opted out of the game. He's not here in Orlando with the team. He wasn't on the depth chart the other day, so that is for sure that he's not going to be playing this bowl game. The only other guy that we know of that won't play in this game is Kyle Kennard, which says a lot, and I'll get into more of my specifics later, but it really says a lot about this team that they are only having two guys opt out of this game, which is kind of remarkable when you really think about it in this day and age of college football. But I would have to say probably Oscar Attaway. I think Oscar Attaway would probably get the most carries in this game. I think we're going to see a little bit of divide and conquer, a little bit of Juju McDowell, a little bit of maybe the other guys like Matthew Fuller and Jawarn Howell. I think we're going to see a lot of guys get some action in this game, and TR Gaming says, is Howell going to eat? Yeah, I totally think so. I think Jawarn Howell, if given the opportunity to get some snaps in this game on Tuesday, I definitely think it could happen for sure. I asked Mike Shula about that, the new offensive coordinator for South Carolina. I asked him about that during the Citrus Bowl press conferences for coordinators the other day, and he said it's gonna be a little bit by committee, I think, which obviously makes a lot of sense, but they could also ride with the hot hand. And also at the same time, they could potentially go with, during the game, they'll kind of just make the decisions as they go along in the game. So I think it's definitely going to be by committee to start. We'll see what happens. But if I had to guess, Oscar Attaway would probably be the first guy out there playing and starting in this game. And then you go from there and kind of see what's working best. So, but yeah, so a lot to talk about from what we've seen so far out here in Orlando and stuff. If you guys have any questions, I'll get around to them as we get going with this live stream. But I kind of want to start getting into a little bit of my thoughts from what's been going on here in Orlando. Share that as best as I can with you guys. And it's been a busy week so far. It really has. The last 3 days, I literally just got back from Celebration High School, which is where the team has been practicing the last 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the first time it's been raining all week here in Orlando, it decided to rain after practice today. It was downpouring. So that was fun, dealing with the Florida rain for a change. But It's been a productive 3 days. I will say that the media has been able to go to practice every day for the first 15 minutes, which in hindsight, it really isn't a lot, to be honest. Like, it's nice that we're able to go inside and even check out practice to begin with during this time of year. I mean, obviously the team doesn't have to, but it's nice to know that we're able to. So that's awesome. But you know, we've seen a lot of stretching. I will say that takes up about half the time. Um, but honestly, like once you get into practice, it's like 10 minutes, and it's like bam, like it's over. Like we're out of there by after the way it normally works is they'll stretch, they'll be loose, whatever. And we got a question: how's the vibe? The vibe has been great. Like the vibe has been really great. Like every day at practice, they just seem really loose and having fun. Like guys were throwing the football around today, and Lenore Sellers was punting the ball a little bit. Davis Bevel was doing the same thing. Like it was just all good vibes. Juju McDowell's been dancing around the last few days, like he always is, having a good time. So the vibes are great, and know that doesn't mean like they're not focused. They're not they're not ready for the game or whatever you might have it. Like obviously some people are going to take exception with that, but like I really do think like this team's having a lot of fun, and it's a good time for South Carolina right now. Like how can you not be excited about going to Orlando and playing in this great bowl game? You're 9-3. Obviously, you would have loved to be in the playoffs, but 9-3 on the year so far, and you got a chance to go win 10 games. Like the guys are having fun, and I got no problem with that. Like they've been to Universal. They went to an Orlando Magic game the other day. Like this is how you make memories right here. And that sounds so sentimental, so cliche, all that nonsense. But like, come on, like these are college kids that we're talking about, and so they're having a good time. And they got that swagger to them, I think, for this week. But with practice, like I was saying, it's literally stretching for the first 5-10 minutes, and then they'll break off into some teamwork and with our positional work, and we'll see a little bit of the offense throwing the ball around today. Like we saw some receivers catching passes from Lenore Sellers. We saw some drills being done. I mean, it's kind of been a little bit of everything, and then bam, it's over. So we don't get to see like we see enough to where it's like, okay, I can actually write about this stuff, but like it's like mostly the point of these things are just to see, okay, who's healthy, who's out, the whole thing. And luckily South Carolina's in pretty good shape from an injury standpoint, and it seems the only other injuries that they really have going on that we don't already know about would be Brady Hunt seemingly is going to be doubtful for the Citrus Bowl, which is kind of seems like a big loss, obviously, but he's been gone the last 2 games with an injury, the lower has not been particularly great, unfortunately. But yeah, it's been good from that standpoint, and we'll see what happens. I mean, look, it's one guy, so I think they'll be all good. Let me know if you guys are able to see me all right. My connection's been kind of hit or miss. I'm running on hotspot now. I'm at a hotel in Orlando. It hasn't been great. But yeah, and we got a question here. Any high school recruits for next year at bowl practices? No high school recruits at these practices. None of the guys that were practicing with the team in Columbia for a few days, like Cutter Woods, the receiving corps, like none of those guys are out here. So it's just the guys that are on the team current day have been playing all year. Those are the guys that are here, none of the high school guys. So, but again, the vibes, like I said, they've been good. Other than Brady Hunt with injuries, Maurice Brown is fully back. It seems like now. He had been in the blue non-contact jersey for the first 2 days of practice out here in Orlando, but he was back in wearing the regular white jersey with garnet number today, and he seemed fine. So I know you guys have some questions about certain guys, like Des how's he been looking? Like honestly, like I think I can't really give it's again. There's so much going on during these practices that I'd like to say that, and again, we don't get to see too much of these guys doing like stuff that is like oh man, like that guy's like insane, like he's doing some great stuff. it's just your typical basic drills, honestly. And we haven't gotten to see it. It's not like fall camp where we'd get to see guys do like one-on-one drills. Like I think the only like one-on-one drill we've really seen was I think Amazing on Little John going up against Jalewis Solomon in a quick one-on-one on day one to close out the media portion of practice. So we haven't really gotten to see a ton. So I'm going to be honest, like I haven't really gotten to see Des Yu. I know he's out there, but again, there's so much going on. So I do apologize for that. TR Gaming says, have you noticed any differences in Dow Loggins and Mike Shula and what they emphasize or how they interact with the team? Well, in terms of what they emphasize, like, again, I think it's a lot of the same from what, again, talking to some of the guys on the team and stuff over these last few days here in Orlando, it definitely seems like there's a lot of continuity between Dow Loggins, the system he had, and Mike Shula. We'll see what happens next year, obviously, but I do think there's not a drastic difference in that standpoint. Like I think come Tuesday in the bowl game, I think we'll see a lot of what South Carolina has been good at running this year. Now, in terms of how they interact with the team and stuff, I feel like Mike they're definitely different because Mike's I think a lot more soft spoken. Dow's kind of just straight up and all that, but Mike's a good dude, and honestly, like I think he's the right fit. The guys really seem to like him a lot, and I think that is what is good to see. So there's a lot of good from Shula, like the way he interacts with the quarterbacks. It's very he's watching on and seeing what these guys are doing. Like it's not like all rah rah up in your face and stuff. It's kind of just step in when you need to help the guys out. But he's been doing a good job so far. And again, the guys really I've heard nothing but good things from the players about him. Steven Atkins says, what are your thoughts on Des Yu and Matthew Fuller for next year? Well, Des Yu, I definitely think he could be – Umazula could definitely be a guy that steps up and plays a lot next year. We'll see. I've gotten a lot of questions about the defensive end rotation in general, like another one here. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Like Dylan Stort's going to be starting on Tuesday on one end of the defensive line. Then you got another guy. We'll see who it is. It could be Brian Thomas Jr. That's who I think would be starting. It could be Des Yu. It could be JT Gear. It could be Gil Bradman. You have a lot of options at the other edge position, and I think we're gonna see. I mean, look, we haven't seen these guys go up 11 on 11 or anything. I hate to be saying that. We saw what we saw at bowl practice, and again, it wasn't that in depth, unfortunately. I would have loved to see these guys go 11 on 11 and stuff. But it's a lot of individual work and stuff. So it's hard to really get a gauge of like, okay, like who's the guy starting at the other edge position. We just didn't get to see that. But I will say, I think Brian Thomas Jr. just makes a lot of sense to me. He's been a guy that I think he's kind of slept on, to be honest, in general. Like he had some nice moments last season where I thought he was really good at the edge position. And then like the Texas A&M game last year, for instance, was a really breaking out moment for him. And he's been kind of quiet this year. I think that's kind of overshadowed by the fact that how can it not be by Kyle Kennard having 11.5 sacks and Dylan Stort tearing, just setting the world on fire as a freshman. Like it makes sense that everyone else in that room is kind of just overlooked. It's hard to remember, but JT Gear was starting to begin the year. So look, I think we could see a rotation of guys at edge in the Citrus Bowl, but I think for sure it just feels like Brian Thomas would be a guy that plays a lot. Then again, I could be wrong. Maybe it is just everyone getting split up, plays on defense and whatnot. So got some questions about the portal and stuff too. The transfer portal did close yesterday for right now. So if you wanted to enter your name in the portal as a player, you had until yesterday to do so, if I'm not mistaken. But it's been a little quiet lately. Obviously, Miles Norwood, the commitment at DB was the big deal on the 26th. But outside of that, it does seem a little quiet right now. But we do have a lot of good information on all that. And I'm not going to get into specifics on it just because what would the point be in revealing everything when you can go to GamecockCentral.com and read more about specific guys, like, get you guys to the site. So if you're interested, we got Chris Clark wrote a story yesterday, more names to watch in the transfer portal. And that is a exclusive story for GC members. So if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to GamecockCentral.com. Definitely recommend it, especially during this time of year where we got so much going on again. I've been writing stories the last few days with my thoughts from bowl practice and stuff, and obviously I'm sharing some of that now. But with transfer portal stuff, got a lot going on over there. So there's definitely been a lot of interest in players coming to South Carolina, but it's just about getting them to commit and eventually sign, which, obviously, as we've seen with a guy like Andrew Jones, for instance, it's easier said than done. So, but this stream's more so just about the bowl game and what is coming up for South Carolina and stuff. But again, like I said before, it's been good so far. It's been a good time out here. The guys are really loose, having fun. I think everything's really good, and it's been interesting because you got just a lot of different storylines this week. Like, what's the running back room going to look like? What's the rotation at edge going to look like we talked about before? You got. I think that's something that we don't really talk about enough is that Robbie Ashford's been here the entire week practicing with the team, and obviously that's been the case even going back to when bowl practice started in Columbia. But he's a guy that is actively looking around in the transfer portal, and he took that visit to UNLV recently and stuff. I mean, look, he's looking for a new home for next year, but he's been out here with the team, and it seems like everything's like it just seems if you didn't know anything about this team, like you'd be like, oh, like everything seems normal. Like that is exactly how it feels right now, and even with Robbie, like it seems fine. So it doesn't seem like it's been an issue at all, and it looks like he's going to be able to finish out the season the way he and the team want to, playing this bowl game and trying to go get that 10th win. And that's another thing. Like, we've heard about it all throughout this month, what a 10th win would mean to South Carolina. We've heard it from Shane Beamer. We've heard it from the players. It continues to get reiterated this entire week. Like, make no mistake. Yes, they are having fun. Yes, they are, getting to, get to go see Orlando and get to go to Universal and go to an Orlando Magic game against the Knicks the other night. They get to go eat all this good food, have a good time in practice, all this good stuff. Make no mistake, though, they're definitely locked in on getting this 10th win. I've continued to hear it from the players, even just an hour ago or an hour or two ago when we talked to all the players. And we'll have more stories up on GamecockCentral.com later today, tomorrow, leading into the game on Tuesday with what was some of what was said from the players at media availability today. But the same sentiment is there. Like, these players, they want that 10th win. And I heard a little bit of it today with some of the guys talking about how there's still that feeling that they got screwed over by the playoff committee, which it's kind of an old discussion point by now. But it is like, let's be honest. Like, I do think not saying they should have gotten in necessarily. I think they were definitely deserving to get in, and I think they're one of the best 12 teams. But getting left out of the college football playoff, it still has a lingering effect on South Carolina. Like, I haven't heard Shane talk about it all too much recently, at least from what I remember. But some of the guys today, like Torselli Simpkins, brought it up. Guys like that. But yeah, we're out here trying to get that 10th win. Should be one of the 12 best teams playing for the national championship right now, but it is what it is. So that's kind of the vibe I've been getting, is that, like, yes, they are loose, having fun, but at the same time, it's like they are ready to go, ready to get this 10th win. And I think the way you do that, and we can kind of talk a little bit about the game in general now. Look, Illinois is a good team, but I think South Carolina is they should not lose this game. Like, I get it, it's a Big Ten school, all this and that. Illinois is similar to South Carolina in the sense that they went 5-7 last year. They turned their season, or they turned their team around in 1 year, and they're 9-3 now, just like Carolina. But I will say, I definitely do feel like South Carolina is the better team. Like, there's a reason why they're a double-digit point favorite. Like, they have minimal opt-outs. They have pretty much, like, all the old guys on this team, like pretty much everyone besides Kennard and Rocket, are going to be playing in this game. And it obviously all starts with who your quarterback is. And look, Luke Altmaier, good quarterback for Illinois. He's had a really nice little stint here with Illinois for sure. But I think Lenore Sellers, I mean, I heard some of the Illinois guys talking about it in press conferences the other day. Like, this dude he's a problem. He's hard to stop. So I think Sellers is going to, be that guy. He continues to just like exceed any expectations anyone had. Like, the buzz is there, and this is one of the most exciting players in college football. And I think a lot of eyes are going to be on this game, and a lot of people are going to be tuned in to be like, okay, what's Lenore Sellers doing? Like, this could be the, I guess, unofficial start of next year's Heisman Trophy campaign to get to New York and maybe even win that award, which would be really something special. But that's a long ways away, and Sellers has done a great job of keeping everything, tame and not letting anything become bigger than it already is. So it all starts with Lenore's, but obviously you need a run game, and losing Rocket, that's a big deal. Like, not having him for this game, it does dampen your run game a little bit, but I do feel like we're not that far removed from when Oscar Attaway was the leading rusher, the RB1 at North Texas for a few years, and Juju McDowell had a lot more carries than I think he hasn't gotten much, much work at running back over the last 2 seasons, this year and last year included. But I think 2 years ago, 2022, 2021, his first 2 years in South Carolina, he was used a lot more. And I was looking at some of the numbers today. It's like he kind of was like that 60 carry type of back in like 2022 and such. So I definitely think it's his last game. Obviously, I definitely think he's got something that he wants to prove. Like, he just spoke so highly of what this season meant to him and stuff that it's like, why would you not want to send this guy out with a bang and try to get him in the end zone at least once? And then the future is very bright at the running back position. I'm gonna have a story out on this tomorrow from talking to Juju today, but he had some really high praise for Matthew Fuller and Jawarn House, calling them true running backs, and they are just the guys that can get stuff done. Essentially, is what he was getting at. So I think the future is very bright at the running back position. Obviously, losing Rocket after the season is tough, obviously, but we kind of knew that was going to be the case because, one, he's out of eligibility, and two, he was going to the NFL draft if he had a good season. And obviously, he did. So Oscar Attaway can come back next year. You got Jawarn Howell back. You got Matthew Fuller. I mean, you're going to hopefully bring in another guy from the portal at running back. I would be shocked if you didn't. But I do think this team is going to be in a good position for years to come, and they've got the foundation. And look, defensively, I think we all worry about, okay, like, what is the drop off going to be like next year at not wide receiver, but defense? Like, you're losing pretty much your entire defensive line outside of like Dylan Stewart and Monkel Goodwine, Nick Barrett. Like, you're going to be losing a lot of guys in the defensive line, like your Boogies, your Tonkas. We'll see about TJ Sanders, but like, you're losing a lot of guys on the defensive line. You're losing pretty much. We'll see what happens with Bam Martin Scott. That's an interesting one because his whole situation with the Diego Pavia thing at Vanderbilt, like, it would be, I don't see why Bam couldn't come back. Again, I don't know the deep details of this situation and like what needs to happen, because like Bam, I think there's a year difference between Pavia and Bam, because for Bam this would be year 7 at South Carolina, or I'm sorry, year 7 in college football if he were able to come back for 2025, which that would be a massive thing. And thank you, Craig, for pointing out Bam Martin Scott was 2019, Pavia was 2020. So it's figuring that out right now. That's very interesting. Again, the whole JUCO thing with guys retaining all their eligibility all 4 years, even if they play JUCO, is something that could take a whole separate live stream. But I think it's a very interesting prospect to think about from the standpoint of, okay, what does this do for a guy like Bam? What does it do for other guys that have taken the JUCO route? What about Nick Pringle in basketball, because he obviously played at Dodge City his first year, and what about baseball, because obviously you have a lot of JUCO guys on the South Carolina baseball team. Like, there's a lot of different things you got to take into account with that situation, but every situation is obviously different. But with Bam, I think everyone wants to see him back next year, and he wants to be back. The coaching staff wants him back. So he would be next year could be like he's already been a great player over the last few years at South Carolina, but next year could really be like if he's able to come back that year where he's the guy on defense and be a massive, massive deal because you're going to have Fred Johnson, who everyone has talked so highly about the last few weeks. And I think he's going to be a real cornerstone of your defense next year, along with Dylan Stewart. And then DB and secondary and stuff, we'll see about Nicky Minwari. We don't know. He is playing in this bowl game. We just don't know what the situation is with him beyond this bowl game. Like, is he going to come back for his senior year? Is he going to go to the draft, which a lot of people feel like he probably is going to the draft, me included. I think it makes the most sense for him as one of the top 2 DBs in the draft for this year. And then we'll see what happens. I mean, you're going to get Jalen Kilgore back. I would assume you get DQ Smith back. You're going to get a lot of pieces back on defense. And you're going to we're already seeing South Carolina replenish and replace what they're losing in the transfer portal and from the high school ranks. Like, they're going to be fine, I think, long term. Now, can we expect the same type of defense? Can we expect the same level of production next year? I don't know. I think you got to realistically, I think you got to temper your expectations a little bit just because what this defense did this season, quite frankly, as many players put it this entire season, it was historic. It was one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in college football this year. And so I think this defense has a great chance to continue off of this year and build. Like, what you did this year is going to set the foundation for years to come. But it's hard to imagine they have that same type of success next season, basically just because you're losing so many of your key pieces. Like, you're losing Demetrius Knight, Kyle Kennard. Like, those are your 2 top guys that you found in the transfer portal. And they had the return on investment was absolutely incredible. Something that you can't find every time in the transfer portal. Like, not everything's going to be an absolute hit. And in this case, for South Carolina, it really was. So we'll see what happens. Again, there's so much to talk about from, what next year looks like. We'll save more of that for a whole full season assessment of what the season was for Carolina and stuff. But again, the vibes are good right now. A lot of great things are happening. And this 10th win would be, and it's only happened, 4 times in program history. Like, the last time was 2013 in that 3-year stretch of 11 win seasons. I don't know if many people had South Carolina doubling their win total within a year. 5 wins last year. They're at 9 right now. Have a chance to get 10 after Tuesday. Man, that would be something. That really would be absolutely something. And I'm really, really going to be interested to see what this team looks like and what this game looks like on Tuesday, because I think they have a great chance to go out here and absolutely dominate Illinois. But again, it's been a while since they played a game. November 30th was the last game that they've all played together. And obviously not a ton, a little bit has changed with, D'Lo and, Rocket and Kyle not being here. But I think for the most part, if you have Lenore Sellers, I think you have a fighting chance anytime to go out there and win a game. So before we pick back up this discussion and kind of close things out a little bit here, want to talk to you guys about 2 quick sponsors real quick. First up, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. They're the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. So instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And then, of course, you watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks has quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. It's what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. I have used Prize Picks plenty in the past. It is, I can reassure you, it is the best way to get involved in the game. It is so much fun. Like, me personally, I could care less about the NBA. Like, I really don't watch it all too often. But Christmas Day, I was locked in, and it was because of Prize Picks and the amount of fun I was having while also earning some money along the way. So if you're interested, just go to prizepicks.com or download the Prize Picks app. Use the code on screen, GC, that stands for Gamecock Central, to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play, $5 in lineups. And also want to talk to you guys about our sponsor, Game Time. There is no better time of the year to go check out a live event than right now. I mean, it's the Christmas season, New Year's coming up. After that, it's going to be, a lot of different sporting events are going on. It's not even just sporting events. There's everything in between. Like, for instance, I went to see the Radio City Rockettes earlier this month out in New York City with my family. Had an amazing time, like absolute blast being out there, seeing that. It gets you in the Christmas spirit, and it's something that I'm always going to remember, especially because it was in New York right around the Christmas season. So with Game Time, you can make those types of memories as well. When you use the Game Time app, there are plenty of features that are fantastic, including the super deal and seat views before you buy. Like, that is a game changer to have a seat view. You get to see exactly where you're sitting, and that is a really big deal, at least in my opinion. And I hope you guys, like that sort of stuff too. So if you're interested, just download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code ON3. So capital O, capital N, and then the number 3. Again, that is ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code capital O, capital N, 3, which stands for ON3 for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So before we kind of start wrapping things up here, again, thank you guys for all tuning in. It's been a good stream. If you are enjoying what you're hearing and listening to, be sure to give this stream a thumbs up. If you're enjoying listening on YouTube or Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're listening, definitely go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, like button, whatever the case might be. You can also go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Gamecock Central. Definitely helps out a lot. So, yeah, look, this game on Tuesday, like I said before, to kind of close things out here, I think South Carolina should win this game. I haven't made a prediction yet, and I know we got staff picks coming out tomorrow on GamecockCentral.com. So be sure to stay tuned for that. It should be around 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But I'd lean South Carolina, no problem right now. Like, again, I think Illinois is a good team. They have a pretty good defense. They have a good quarterback in Luke Altmaier. I think Brett Bielema is taking that program in the right direction. I just think South Carolina is they're the better team right now. Like, again, to get that 10th win, it would mean so much, and for them, it would be massive. Like, no two ways around it. It's the last time we're going to see a lot of these players. Like, the last time we're going to see, think about it, just put it in perspective. Vershawn Lee, Boogie Huntley, Tonka Hemingway. Trying to think of some other guys off the top of my head here, like Josh Simon, Vershawn Lee, Torselli Simpkins, Kamar Bell, like, you name it. The list goes on and on and on. This is the last time we're going to see a lot of these guys, like Demetrius Knight, guys like that came in here for 1 year and wanted to come to South Carolina. Like, a lot of them just said they made the best decision coming here. Like, that's kind of what the vibes are. And again, these guys are motivated. They are having fun, but again, they're motivated and ready to go. So I'm really looking forward to this game. Got a few more days out here in Orlando. Don't have much more going on tonight, but then tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., we've got Shane Beamer, Brett Bielema, joint press conference. I believe that's how it's going to be going. It's odd that they're putting the Citrus Bowl is putting the two coaches together on the same podium is what I read, I think. And they'll be talking, I don't know, answering questions at the same time. I don't know. I think it's kind of odd, but that's just my opinion on it. But anyway, we'll be hearing from them at 8:30 p.m. or 8:30 a.m. tomorrow on Monday, the day before the Citrus Bowl. We'll have live updates and coverage on Gamecock Central from both coaches and what they had to say. And then there'll be a pep rally nearby in Orlando. And I believe there is a live stream. If I get any info on it, I'll throw it on the Insiders Forum or on Twitter, whatever the case might be. But I'll post a link somewhere to wherever that's going to be. Don't have that handy right now. I did see one the other day for the coordinator and player press conferences. So I would be surprised if there weren't one for the two head coaches. There's probably going to be. So that'll be going on tomorrow. And then nothing really going on the rest of the day in terms of things with the team and stuff. Because it's like a Friday for them in terms of day before Saturday, day before the game. They'll have their walkthrough. They'll go to the stadium for a bit to check it out, just like they would on any other road trip or whatever you may have it. And then Tuesday, it's game day, 3 p.m. kickoff on ABC from the Citrus Bowl at Camping World Stadium. I'll be there providing live updates and coverage. It's just me this week from a writing standpoint, so got a lot going on. If you haven't already, if you are more interested in checking out like what has been going on from a visual perspective this week, I've got a few vlog behind the scenes videos already up on Gamecock Central's YouTube page that you can go ahead and watch to see, what, obviously I've shared a little bit of what's been going on from my trip here in Orlando so far, but obviously with practice and stuff too, which I know you guys are probably more interested in. Got that on there as well. I'll have another behind the scenes video dropping here just after this live stream. I'm just going to finish up publishing it and all that. So that'll be on there. And then we'll have the game day vlog too. So lots to look forward to. No better time than right now to be a Gamecock fan if you're listening. It is got a chance to win 10 games. It could happen on Tuesday. It's going to be really exciting to see. So that's going to do it for tonight's episode of GC Live Sunday Reset. Wishing you all a happy New Year. New Year's Day is the 2025 is right around the corner. We'll be going out to Starkville, Mississippi next weekend to cover South Carolina men's basketball out there for the SEC opener against Mississippi State. Plan right now, we'll be doing Sunday Reset out there in Starkville next Sunday. We'll break down the game, and we'll talk a little bit of football, of course, too. Give some of my final assessment, season wrap-up type of deal. And, we'll have plenty to talk about then. So appreciate all of you guys tuning in again. Live coverage and all updates are on GamecockCentral.com. If you're not already, join the team, become a member, subscribe. Definitely would highly recommend doing it, especially with the transfer portal and all that good stuff going on, as well as bowl game coverage and then YouTube page. Subscribe, hit the like button. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Happy New Year, and I will see you guys again next week. Take care, and I'll see you.